Good evening, race fans. My name is Philip Fitzsimmons on behalf of Team Goon Squad here tonight, presenting round 1 of the Aero Racing iFormula F1 League here tonight at Autodromo Internazionale e Dinzo Ferrari for the San Marino Grand Prix here tonight. We'll have one DRS zone on the main straight towards the Tamburello chicane, 19 corners, 10 to the left and 9 to the right. And here we go now as the race just about to go. 5 lights and away we go for the San Marino Grand Prix. Jacob Riley gets a brilliant start on that inside line now, and he's very in the lead into turn 1. Haugland shortly following. You're battling further back. Ben Goldthorpe looked very quick in practice. However, in the race, he's looking like he hasn't quite got the pace in qualifying. Will he be able to make up and work his way up into the field? We'll have to wait and see. However, Jacob has a brilliant lead out in front, followed by Haugland, followed by Shelter and Schogel in 4th place. As we're making our way up here now towards Piratella. It's a very flowing corner and very difficult to get right. Will the drivers be able to get it right this time? They can. Track limits as well is very difficult on the outside. However, we go back to our leader, Riley. Coming through Accu Minerali now towards the Variante Alta. He's got brilliant pace here tonight. Got pole position by 4.5 tenths of a second. Looks like his pace tonight is looking very strong. And he definitely looked like a driver to look out for the rest of this season. Back of Jacob Beezer now as he attacks. Last out ahead of him. Maybe into... No, he doesn't quite manage to make the move stick. Coming out of the final corner now. It's very important to get a really good run out of Ravazza. As coming down to turn 1 with the DRS zone. The more run you can get, the better run you can get, the better. However, unfortunately, he's not quite close enough to make the move into turn 1, unfortunately. However, if he follows, I'm sure he'll get the chance. DRS is activated after 2 laps here tonight. It looks like Goldthorpe has had an issue. Goldthorpe is stopped on the side of the track. It looks like he's beached. He cannot get that car running again. Fortunately, he is now out of this race. It's very unfortunate. We have one early going here tonight. Our leader though, Jacob, showing how it's done. He has a 1 second lead to Haugland. Now, Haugland needs to close that gap once again. He needs to get those 2 tenths of a second he needs before lap 3 to have DRS and to be able to catch back up. However, it looks like Jacob's doing all he can at the moment to stretch that gap. It's a 32 lap race here tonight, gentlemen. So it's a very long race. A lot can happen in this time. Which means that this order you see at the moment, it may change. Because it's very easy to lose the car. As these new 2022 Formula 1 cars use ground effect for their downforce. Which means that in slower speed corners there just isn't as much rear grip or front grip. The car tends to understeer a lot more and oversteer on exit. Which makes it a lot harder to drive and a lot more skill is required. However, we can see he's just not quite able there, Chapelone, to be able to get onto the back of Jacob Beezer as the battle continues here. Let's take the place. Our biggest climber at the moment, Angel Ponce. He started P13, excuse me, and he's now all the way up into 10th place. I think he's had to make 1 overtake so far on track. However, he is starting to drop back in terms of pace. He's 10 seconds behind Alexander Shanna, who himself has gone up 2 spots from where he started. He started in P11. He's now in P9 in the number 45. He is still staggering onto the back end of Baraboo, who's also chasing after Chapelone. So it looks like this midfield battle at the moment is spicing up. And we may see some fighting later on in the race. However, it looks like we've got a battle now. Schilter looks like to be going up into 3rd place. Closely followed by Schogel, who's 7 tenths behind. However, these gaps out front are starting to stretch out quite a lot. However, this midfield battle is still brewing and brewing. These drives are still very close as we go on to lap 4 now, where the DRS has been enabled. It looks like Chapelone is going to go around to the outside of Larson into turn 1. An absolutely brilliant move there from him, showing how it's done coming into turn 1 there. As you now head towards Villeneuve, it's important to keep the line nice and stable. If you mount the sausage curbs on either of the inside. Oh, and he goes wide there. That's going to give him a little bit of a run into Tosa. No. So it looks like Jacob Beezer isn't quite able to capitalise on the mistake, as he's now sitting 5/10 behind him now. And it looks like that move is done and dusted. However, if Beezer stays within the DRS zone, he may have a chance coming next lap 4. As we have a look back at Alexander Shano, he's only 2/10 behind Baraboo. Going into Aki Minerali, getting very, very close to that bumper there. He's exploiting the track limits and trying to get as close as he can here, because he knows in that DRS zone, the closer you are, the more of a chance there is for an overtake. Very anti-alto. We saw in real life Charles Leclerc mounting the curb too much and spinning. You can see how easily it's done, even by the professionals. So these drivers so far have not made that mistake. However, it is very, very difficult to avoid it. He will be close enough for DRS. 7/10 the gap coming out of the final corner. Will he be able to close down enough? As he goes past the DRS marker, the flap is open on the rear end. He's coming, he's coming, he's coming. He pulls to the outside and gets past at turn 1. An absolutely brilliant move there by Alexander Shanna. Now up 3 spots from where he started, into P8 from P11. Like we have a small battle starting to brew here between Jeff Lauren and Øygaard Larsen, as he looks like he's closing down onto the end, searching for that P5 spot. Carinza Piratella, he means business. Number 81, giving it everything here, up 2 spots from where he started, as well as Larsen. Mounting the curbs on the right, then left. Now coming on the way down the hill towards Ravazza. A very, very difficult corner to get right. However, if you get it right, you can exploit it and gain so much time over your enemies and opponents. Coming out of the final corner, will he be close enough for DRS run? 4.5 the gap is now coming past the DRS zone. The DRS flap is open once again. As we're watching the rear wing of Larsen, he's coming. He goes back round the outside again. Absolutely brilliant move there, as it looks like he's fighting back. Too wide going into turn 1. Oh! Larsen spins round. He's able to save it. An absolutely brilliant job there from him, keeping that all in one piece as he shuffles down the order, back down to P9 now. That is very, very unfortunate for him. Alexander Shannon now leads those 3. Into P7 he goes. Back up front, Jacob Riley has been able to stretch a gap. 4 seconds it is now to his teammate Howland. However, this is where the fighting is at the moment. Looks like Barbaru may be trying to stick in behind, and maybe getting inside that DRS zone and make a move into turn 1. However, he makes a small mistake on the exit of Variante Alta and loses a little bit more time. 8.9 the gap. If he loses 1 more tenth, he'll be out of the DRS zone. These drivers are expected to make 1 stop during this race, which means the tyres they choose, they may choose for softer tyres to begin with to try and work out their gap. However, it means they don't last as long, and it will start to drop off very, very quickly, those lap times. So it's very important that you stretch out that as much as you can. To go back to our leader, Jacob, on those medium compound tyres, showing us how it's done here tonight on lap 7 of 32. There's still fighting going on in that midfield. Baraboo is 5/10 behind, coming into Ravazza, excuse me. Oh, it looks like Alexander Shanna ahead had a little bit of a mistake. He's going to have a run now coming down the main straightaway. The DRS flap opens on the back of that Mercedes W13. Now on the run down to turn 1. Will he go outside? Will he go inside? He chooses outside and he goes around the outside now. It's not over yet though. They're still too wide going into turn 1. Will Shanna be able to dive back on the brakes? No, he can't. So Shanna losing the position once again. This battle raging here for 7th place. You can see that gap behind is very, very short, and Shanna is still on the hunt. Back and forth, these two guys off P7. Now making their way down to the very end, the outer. He's going to be last on the brakes. It looks like Shanna's able to close that gap just a little bit. And these drivers are very, very close. Once again, coming down into Ravazza. As now as the DRS flap once again, he tries to go round the outside here. Now he chooses the inside now coming into turn 1. And the move is done and dusted very, very early on here. Making move, showing us how it's done once again. However, will Baribu be able to come back the second time now? Coming on to the end of lap 9. As they still go back and forth here. Looks like that gap has stabilised between first and second place. Haugland is able to maintain that 4-second gap for the time being. Yep.
Are you live?
Sorry for that very, very short intermission there. Just trying to fix issues with the stream. So we'll be able to stream the second race here tonight. However, we'll remain having to record this race, unfortunately. However, there's not really that much we can do about it. However, the issue should be sorted. Now we watch again. Baribu is 3/10 behind. It looks like he'll be able to get the move. He has the run on Shanna. As he dives round to the outside towards turn 1. Will Shanna be able to dive it back onto the brakes? It looks like he lets him go here. Just as he has been the past couple of times. He's been happy to give up that position because he knows he'll be able to get the DRS on the subsequent laps. It looks like no, Shanna goes down the inside into Villeneuve. And he dives down the inside. A move he didn't see coming there. An absolutely sensational overtake. Coming into Tosa. You can see it's a very, very hard on the rear tyres this track, especially that one. As you go up the hill and you have a lot of crests, those rear tyres are very, very easy to spin up, especially on those 2022 Formula 1 cars. We'll stick with this as this is the closest battle on track. If you go back on board with Baribu. Coming out of the final corner, he's close enough once again. You can hear that floor bashing up against that curb. However, the DRS flap is open once again. He shifts up into 8th gear. He has the slipstream coming all the way down the straight. Shannon might have a chance on the brakes. And he stays in behind. He doesn't quite have the run that time. He nearly runs into the back of Shannon there. Was able to get out of it. However, that gap's already got bigger to 0.8 of a second. As you sit in that dirty air, you burn those front tyres a lot harder if you're not careful. Which means if you're further behind, if you're behind the driver for longer, it means those rear tyres will start to cook away a lot easier. And the fronts as well, as downforce is taken off from the car in front. As the air for the aerodynamic components of the car isn't quite able to work as efficiently as the air is turbulent that it goes into, and less of it. Over through Minerali. The gap is still 9/10 of a second, as it looks like he got a little bit of a better exit there. 7.5 it is going to Variante Alta. Once again, 6/10 the gap now, coming down into Ravazza. Coming around the final corner now. Will he have the run? 7/10 the gap. It'll be close, but I don't think he's quite close enough. Going down the main straightaway. Will Alexander Shanna go defensive? No, he won't. As it looks like now, Shanna is starting to catch up to Jacob Beezer. Jacob Beezer in front. This is the battle for P5 now. So all that time, whilst they were battling, that gap has been going down and down and down. Now, 6/10 of a second. 4/10 of a second. Will Barbarou able to get past him as well. Will Beezer get freight trained here coming down the main straightaway? We'll have to wait and see. Out of the chicane on the top of the hill. The gap is 7/10 of a second between Alexander Shanna and Beezer. Looks like that gap's got a little bit bigger now. The battle's going to be between Barebu and Shanna now. Shanna will have to go defensive into turn 1. Will he choose to? No, he don't. Barbarou down the inside once again. Back and forth these two. Lap 13 of 32. And the action is showing. Oh, left, then right. Shanna goes down the inside into Villeneuve. He goes wide. He goes into the gravel. Will he be able to make a move back into Tosa? No, he can't. Shanna stays ahead. Absolutely brilliant battling here. However, that's brought Frederick Larson back into the game. He's catching back up now. This may turn into a 4-car battle very, very shortly if Shanna can close that gap once again. On to lap 14 now.